This is Kate Baconsale. You're listening to Baconsale.
Guys, if I could just sum up our podcast in a few words.
Okay.
I'd use words like terrific.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Radiant.
Ooh. Odd
Feeling
choice.
very bright pasty
Okay.
today.
And most of all, humble.
It's true.
In short, this is some podcast.
Oh. I see what you did there.
You see what I did there?
Is some pig.
Is Jake going to eat us?
He may. Or die and let us, watch over his children until the sequel comes out.
Coming to you live with Nacho Breath.
It was
Jacob's Web
Yes.
of lies.
That was Charlotte's Web.
Aw,
I get it.
sweet.
Okay. I'm Joel.
I'm Kent.
And Jacob.
And thank you for everyone who actually listened to the podcast on the Western podcast on the 24th of July.
What do you mean, who actually listened?
Yeah, the numbers
The
were a little
listeners
down.
loved it.
They were out doing rodeos or something like that. But
know what
Demolition
they were doing.
derbies, hopefully. Not fireworks.
We did
Never
get,
fireworks.
You like fireworks now.
some people were getting after us for movies that we did not mention at all. And we're not going to mention them now. So
I was like, are we going to... Okay.
¿Por qué no los dos?
Wow.
Well, I mean, that just means we need the Westerns part 2, probably.
Maybe once we watch those gaps, we'll get back to them.
Right.
Yeah.
No, truth be told, I can't remember. I
probably
know there were some that people got after us for, like Silverado. That was one of them.
Silverado, Shanghai Noon.
Shanghai Noon, yeah.
Back to the Future 3.
Yes.
Ones like that. So yeah, and we love when we get feedback like that because it's like, oh yeah, that one and that
Yeah,
one.
that's true.
So we enjoy it. Thank you for giving us your feedback.
So,
What are we talking about today, Jacob?
Today, fellas, it's time for non-Disney animated. In other words, movies that don't matter as much.
oh, that's mean.
Some of these matter.
No, I'm just kidding.
Some of these are the highest grossing movies of all time.
Yeah, Shrek really matters. It matters.
Hey, Shrek lives matter, okay? Ogre lives matter.
That's terrible.
Yeah, that's
I
not
feel
true.
like we're putting a lot of qualifiers, like non-Disney animated movies.
Well, we get more qualified
because
than
there's
that,
a crap
too.
ton of them. That's
Yes.
why.
Because we tiered Disney movies a while back, and then
Season 1.
Season 1, yeah, that was very early on. We tiered some Disney movies, and by tiering we mean we give each movie a tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3.
3 being the worst.
3 being the worst, 1 being the best, 2 being in the middle. In case you didn't pick up on that, but this time we decided to do non-Disney animated, which I don't know if you guys know this, but there are more non-Disney animated movies than Disney animated movies.
Well, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah,
Because-
it's
I mean,
the
there's like a
world
n-
versus Disney.
There's a
Yes.
new CG animated movie out every month now.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
And since the list is so big, we're not going to get through all of them today.
Not even close.
Nor are we going to do all of them because there's too many out there. So we've narrowed down a list to 2 shows thus far.
Right.
With,
Depending on how we do it, time.
Yes, with 35 movies each. Now, I want you to listen carefully, listener, because that's why we call you the listener, because you listen. We are not including stop motion animation. We cut those out to kind of. We're narrowing down the list here.
Because it'll be covered some other time, probably.
Yes, we have future shows planned. TV movies or direct to video types. So the Rankin Bass types and the Hobbit was a TV movie. And we're not doing those. And we're not doing more adult fare like Heavy Metal or The Simpsons or anything like that.
Should we watch Heavy Metal for the show? What do you think?
Speaking of that, did you hear Matt Groening's doing a Netflix thing?
I heard that.
New
It's gonna be
adult.
Another one, yeah. And then finally, we're not doing anime. We took out anime and we took out Studio Ghibli as well, all of Miyazaki's stuff.
Which is pretty much-
Ghibli.
Ghibli.
I just wanted a whole episode on
I
that,
really
but oh well.
it's been recommended that we do a whole anime episode.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and we're going to do that. Sure.
And I fought to have Miyazaki on there, but in the end, Miyazaki really could be his own show. So
it really should be.
yeah. So
with a name like that.
we're going to go through the list here. Jacob's going to give us the name of a movie. Kent and I are going to give it a tier or ranking. And
Also known as a tier ranking.
yes.
Also, play along, if you will.
Please
And go to baconsale.com and leave your tier up on our page.
and your tears in our comments.
Also the tiers.
Maybe after the show's done, am I right?
Yeah.
I'm about to break some hearts.
Hey, guys.
Because I think it's on one of these shows where I was told I have no music in my heart or
Yes.
music in my soul.
It was the Disney show, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
Disney animated?
So now that we're on non-Disney animated, I should be good.
Yeah. Maybe you'll have music back in your heart.
We'll find out.
Guys, we're going to do it a little bit differently. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
We're going to go alphabetically. With one minor exception.
This pleases me.
Yes.
No, it seems
I
like
like
there's
this.
very little preparation done by our moderators today, Jake.
Whatever. It takes time to make things alphabetical. Just ask Joel.
Because I made this list in alphabetical.
No, normally I feel like there's some sort of angle or benefit to have by moving around and just just from this list, there's really not. So we're gonna keep it clean, and it's gonna be new because we've never done it like this, and it's gonna change everything. Basically, the whole show. I'm sure the whole show is gonna be better because of this.
And
He's really kind of justifying his position right now.
I am.
And once again, listener, please don't get upset when we skip over your movie of choice because we have a show
Just because we don't
part
like it.
2.
That's all.
Yeah, we
hate your ideas.
We have a part 2 list, although if you think we've missed one, you can always put it in there, and if it's not already in a part 2 list, we can consider putting it in there.
It will be very easy to find ones that we have missed
Yes.
because there's tons.
Although I did go through, for the record, I went through the highest grossing animated films of all time, and then I went to a bunch of the individual studios and looked at their list, so we should cover most of the bases. But let's jump into it, Jacob.
Okay.
Coming in with letter A, All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Hey, I remember this from our Cable IMAX Array show.
1989. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do your notes alphabetically as well, Joel?
No.
Okay,
But
just checking.
I did start every one of them with who it's directed by, who it stars, and the plot summary. So this is All Dogs Go to Heaven, directed and produced by Don Bluth. He's not one of the Bluth family.
A dog returns from the dead
He's one of his Bluth family.
looking for revenge on his killer using an orphan girl who can talk to animals.
If she could talk to the animals. And this stars Dom DeLuise, Burt Reynolds, and Judith Barcy. Oh, by the way, guys, I just have to start off the show with this. I'm sorry.
Just tell us the story because...
No, not that. Side fact. Do you know who Don Bluth is? Like, do you know anything about him?
He's from Utah, right? Or is he LDS?
I didn't know any of that.
Oh, you didn't?
I just knew the Don Bluth
No,
Productions.
that's Richard Rich.
No, because here's
It's
the
not
thing.
Don Bluth. It's Richard Rich who worked on the Bluth films.
Don Bluth is the great grandson of Helaman Pratt, an early leader in the Church of Jesus Christ.
Oh, he's not LDS. Helaman Pratt.
Helaman Pratt,
He
yeah.
moved to, at age 6, his family moved to Payson, Utah. He attended Brigham Young University for 1 year, and then he got a job with a Disney company. Then he went onto a mission in Argentina for 2 years. Went back to BYU, graduated there. But the guy's worked, he worked on Robin Hood, Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2, Rescuers, and Pete's Dragon. Like, he was the animator on a lot of those.
Wow.
And then he also worked on Xanadu. There you go. But then he kind of got frustrated with the Disney thing and ended up doing his own kind of studio, Don Bluth, Bluth Productions.
Right.
But he's done a lot of these. You're going to see that name come up a lot. So,
And then
I
went
had
and made
no
kids
idea.
cry with All Dogs Go to Heaven.
He did. So All Dogs Go to Heaven.
What a jerk.
Yeah. I love the names in All Dogs Go to Heaven, by the way. It's like Charlie B. Barkin and Itchy Ford.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Tell us the story about the girl, the voice actress.
Nope, we're not going to
for-
talk about Judith Barcy because that's a sad, sad story.
I want to hear.
We're going to cry in the movie, cry in the story that
All
tells...
Dogs Go to Heaven came out the same time as Little Mermaid. So, sorry, All Dogs Go to Heaven. That was rough.
In a big way. Rough? I get it, because they're dogs.
And this came after Secret of NIMH, An American Tale, and Land Before Time. This is one of the ones they were kind of banking on could help them through. And it didn't do as successfully as the other ones, but it's still a very good movie. I still enjoy it, but I'm giving this one a tier 2.
Okay, it is definitely a tier 2.
Yeah.
It's going to be quite a few high fives
There
here.
is.
Oh,
There
we
is.
should also qualify that we Kent and I, as much as we want to, can't give everything tier 1s or tier 2s or tier 3s.
I actually think almost everything on this list deserves a tier 2, but
Yes.
I did have to pick
He has
favorites and least favorites.
Because since we have a list of 35 movies, we are choosing 10 tier 1s, 12 tier 2s, and 13 tier 3s.
Very good
But-
points.
You don't have to remember those numbers. Just know that Kent and I had to be limited. And
Yes,
this didn't make the
there's
cut.
balance.
Don Bluth does a lot of weird, dark stuff in his movies. It's basically the Coraline Studios,
Yes.
the ones who put those together. They also have some dark stuff going on. All Dogs Go to Heaven definitely has the revenge spree on there. Some killing, maybe some hellhounds from Supernatural.
There's death in this movie. Like
Yeah.
serious, like people getting shot kind of stuff. And there's a whole scene where he's having a fever dream or a nightmare about going to hell, and they had to cut it down in order to achieve, I think, the PG
PG
rating they wanted. I think because it was a little too intense there at some
Wow.
point.
Okay.
I know. But yeah, it's a tier 2. It's a good movie, but it's not one of Bluth's best. Because I can't think of a memorable musical number from that.
Is that going to be the name of the next episode? Bluth's Best?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. All right, next one is An American Tale, 1986.
Also Don Bluth, directed by Don Bluth.
While emigrating to the United States, a young Russian mouse gets separated from his family and must relocate them while trying to survive in a new country.
Feifel.
Feifel. Billy. His new name is Billy.
Philly.
Is it Philly or
It's
Billy?
Philly because it's Feifel. And he's like, I don't got that, so it's Philly.
Oh, it is Philly.
Yeah, and actually that was a compromise because apparently the executives were like, Feifel's not a memorable name. Kids are going to remember that name. And so they compromised by having the American kid call him Philly.
Really?
So they could do that, I guess.
Yeah, I was always really mad at this movie because I felt like these mice were lied to, and they didn't really go into how they felt when they actually saw cats in America.
But there are no cats in America, and the streets are paved with cheese.
This movie is really dark. Once again, a dark movie from Don Bluth.
Yes.
But there are no cats in America. I feel like I want every time. I watched this all the time as a kid. Mm-hmm. And I like cats.
And you like dark movies.
And I liked... I was 5 or so when this movie came out.
It started early. I mean, that's all... That's clear.
It was this movie.
Game of Thrones wasn't around then, but if it was, that would have been your favorite.
Now, Ken, I must ask this, only because of your heritage. Mm-hmm. Did you watch this a lot because it spoke to you in your heritage?
Maybe.
Because
Jake, I don't know if you've seen this. They are Jewish mice.
Yes, I do remember that.
Ukrainian Jewish mice. And
are you Ukrainian too? That's interesting.
Actually,
probably.
Probably. People got actually after it because they didn't think it was overt enough that they were a Jewish family and that they were pushed out by anti-Semitics, by the Cossacks and all that.
Yeah, because at the beginning of this movie, they show an actual family being kicked out of Russia or Ukraine. And the mice have to move out as well because things are getting so dangerous. And all the cats are wearing like Russian gear and stuff like that. I mean, this movie is... I don't think it's subtle in any way. People said it was subtle.
Well, they just said it wasn't overt enough that there was about the anti-Semitism, that they were persecuting them because they were Jewish.
Oh, okay.
And so
I feel like kids don't really need to see that.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, this is a kids movie. It's dark enough.
And it is about the American dream. And I knew this as a kid. I watched this again and again, and maybe it is because of my Jewish heritage.
It's a tier 1. Huh?
It's a tier 1.
Yeah.
Well, and this is actually Don Bluth and Steven Spielberg worked on this together. And Steven Spielberg said to him, make me something pretty like you did with Nim. Make it beautiful. And that apparently he was very impressed by Secret of Nim. But
just Nim. He calls it Nim.
Also, the name Fievel comes after Steven Spielberg's maternal grandfather.
Oh, not Philly.
His Yiddish name was Fievel.
I actually have a Fievel stuffed animal upstairs I've had forever.
Oh.
It's Philly. They're famous for their cheesesteaks.
Yeah.
Delicious. This is also one of the few first animated films to outdraw a Disney one, beating The Great Mouse Detective, because it came around at the same time.
Makes sense. This is a way better movie than Great Mouse Detective.
But I'll tell you why, Kent. This is a tier 1.
Yeah.
This is a tier 1, and I'll tell you why, because of the music. We were just listening to it before the show, but there are no cats in America. And also you got the, of course, never say never, whatever you do. And then, of course, you have the touching, stirring, somewhere
I'll sing with you.
out there, someone sing a prayer. Because his little voice cracks, and it's so cute.
And Linda Ronstadt jumps in there.
Do you prefer the movie version or like the studio version with Linda Ronstadt and
look,
what's the bucket?
I enjoy the movie version, but I always break out into James Ingram's deep dulcet tones.
Even though I know how very far we are.
So I had a mission tape, because I went on a mission, and we had and we had tapes where we would have mostly church music because that's all we could listen to. But one of the tapes in our car already had these 2 versions on it of this song.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like this is kind of mission appropriate because
it is, but it's
right. There's
sad.
someone out there that's
sad.
sleeping underneath that same bright star, even though it's in the southern hemisphere and completely around the world. But that's fine. There's still stars.
I agree.
Yeah, it's a tier 1.
Also, I just want to point out that it was nominated for Best Original Song, but it lost to Take My Breath Away. Brum, brum.
All right, let's move on. We have
Top
35.
Gun one. Yeah, all right.
All right. Next movie, rounding off our A's.
Why?
I thought about making it even worse and being like coming in at A-N-T.
No.
Passing the last one.
Wow.
No, I'm not doing that. Except I did. But 1998, Ants.
A rather neurotic ant tries to break from his totalitarian society while trying to win the affection of the princess he loves. Starring Woody Allen, Sharon Stone, and Gene Hackman.
And we talked about this one a lot on our Twinner Winner show, where we talked about ants and Bug's Life and the feud between them. Mm-hmm. And I think we both agreed that Bug's Life was better than Ants.
It is.
So Ken likes Pixar movies, and this is a tier 3.
Excellent.
I give it a tier 2.
You give it a tier 2?
I know I did.
Why?
Just compared to what it was compared to.
Are you a Woody Allen fan of some sort?
I actually am not, but I do think it's kind of clever to have a neurotic ant, kind of feel like he's an individual. Yeah, but this is like Woody Allen. Yeah, Woody Allen is a neurotic ant that feels like he's an individual when he clearly isn't. And so I give this movie a little bit of props. And Sylvester Stallone, I give it a tier 2.
No,
I know. I'm sorry.
This is just because of A Bug's Life, isn't it?
Because I feel bad. Because I don't want to love Pixar as much.
I'm just wondering what you bumped down to put Ants up in tier 2.
Joel, it's all about the same for me, honestly.
He hates all of them.
Pretty much.
He hates his childhood.
Yeah, except for An
Do
American
you
Tail.
hate your childhood?
All right, next is the one and only B movie. Huh? See what I did there? Because it's the letter B.
The whole
It's the letter B.
Oh, man.
But it's also called
letter B.
But it's also the B movie.
This stars
2007.
Jerry Seinfeld, Renee Zellweger, and Matthew Broderick, among others. And then Barry B. Benson, a B just graduated from college, is disillusioned at his lone career choice, making honey. On a special trip outside the hive, Barry's life is saved by Vanessa, a florist in New York City. As their relationship blossoms, he discovers humans actually eat honey and subsequently decides to sue them.
You may hate this movie because of the internet about 4 months ago.
No, that's actually why I like this movie.
What?
This has become an internet meme. And
No, but people hate it now, as you should.
Why?
because someone put a video out there, and it was, here's the entire B movie, but every time they say the word B, it speeds up. And so it starts off normal, and then as soon as they say B, it gets a little faster, and then they say it again, it gets a little faster.
It's about like a 6-minute clip.
It's like 6-7 minutes, and by the end, it's just like, and then it ends.
Because they say so many B puns in the first few minutes that you're done.
Yeah,
That's funny.
and I enjoyed that part of it. I enjoy it becoming a meme. I mean, it was made in 2007, and then just last year it becomes a meme.
But it was a forgotten movie. No one cared about this movie, and until this, because the movie is really quite terrible. It becomes this weird story about how he falls in love with a human woman.
Yeah.
And then he sues everyone, including Ray Liotta, who apparently has a honey company.
Ray Liotta, who plays himself.
And then
Right.
there is no honey made, and so it's like The Happening. Basically, The Happening happens in the B movie.
It takes a weird turn when it becomes the lawsuit thing. Like, it's kind of funny, the B guy not wanting his job and everything. But then when it takes that dark turn of like, I'm going to sue the humans, and there's the whole court case, and it's a tier 3.
It's a tier 3 easy.
Yeah. High five. Next movie, Charlotte's Web, 1973.
Hey, it's the one you quoted.
The very one.
Starring Debbie Reynolds, Henry Gibson, and Paul Lynde.
A gentle and wise gray spider with a flair for promotion pledges to save a young pig from slaughter for dinner food.
Yeah, and this one is...
Dinner food?
Dinner
food.
Not dinner guest. Not slaughter for dinner guests.
I guess
Slaughter
we should-
for dinner food.
We should probably mention, too, jumping back, Ants is DreamWorks. B movie, was that DreamWorks, too? Or was that Sony? I can't remember. I'm just trying to figure out which studios they were if they weren't Disney. Because this one's Hanna-Barbera, which I thought was...
Oh, is it really? Okay.
Yeah, it's produced by Hanna-Barbera Productions.
Did you feel like this movie was only made for kids in school?
I feel like this movie was only made to make kids cry in school.
Did you guys watch this again for this one? Or were you like, no, I remember it well enough?
I remember it well enough because I think
I
I
don't wanna
watched
cry again.
I think we watched this movie maybe every term.
I think I watched it all the time. Templeton.
Yeah.
He's a
okay.
mouth.
Have you seen this movie?
It's been a long time. I do remember thinking, what's the big deal when I was a kid?
Really?
Yeah.
It's sad.
What's weird is in 1994, it became one of the best-selling titles of the year, 21 years after it came out. What's up
weird.
with that? Why all of a sudden this resurgence for Charlotte's Web? I wonder if
I think
it was
it's
all
our
those
teachers.
teachers.
Yeah.
We're going to make our kids cry. And it also featured a lot of the cast from the TV show Bewitched for some reason, like Paul Lynde and Agnes Moorehead and Henry Gibson, like all these people that were in the
Dick
show.
Sargent and Dick York were both on it.
All of them.
Right?
Yes, exactly. That's so weird. By the way, it's based on a book by E.B. White, and E.B. White did not like this. He was not a fan.
E.B. White's a boy?
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, I figured that was a girl.
Is it? I actually don't even know.
She.
It just
They
says
did
that
not like this.
apparently White wrote the following words: "We have never ceased to regret that your version of Charlotte's Web ever got made."
Wow.
That's kind of harsh.
I think what we've learned whenever we talk about book adaptations is that the author did not like the adaptation in any way.
that's what it feels like.
So maybe never sell your stuff for movie rights because you'll make kids cry.
Yeah, and you already read the synopsis. And if you haven't seen Charlotte's Web and you want a good cry, go for it. But this is a slow movie, and the only song I can ever remember is the Smorgasbord song. So,
E.B. White's a dude.
is it?
Yep, looked it up.
E.B. White's a dude.
E.B. White. What? I don't even know.
Yeah, you don't know that.
Yeah.
No, he is.
But this is a solid tier 2.
He's also holding a dachshund. That's weird. All right.
Is the dachshund slaughter for dinner food? I think it's a tier 1. I think Charlotte's Web is a tier 1 because of
Why is it tier 1?
How much I remember this movie, and it could be because it was drilled into me. But we watched it all the time, and it is sweet. It's a sweet movie.
But then Charlotte dies.
What? Spoiler.
We're not doing a bacon bait. You can't spoil it.
Spoilers! But Charlotte's Web.
I think it's a tier 1 compared to the rest of these movies.
Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Charlotte's Web. Mm-hmm. You need to watch it again.
I don't want to cry.
Slow. It's so slow.
I'll watch
Joel,
the
if you're
Dakota Fanning
afraid
version.
of crying, it must be effective to some degree.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of crying.
You are afraid of crying.
No, I'm not.
All right, next movie. It's 2009, Cloudy with a Chance of Cheese Balls.
Meatballs.
Jake's trying to be funny again, everybody.
It feels better it's more alliterative.
We should clarify also, some movies we grouped together. Like we talked about it and we said, you know what, these are pretty much all the same.
For example,
Ice Age. We'll get to that, but we kind of lumped them all together because they're indistinguishable from one another.
Yes.
In quality or story.
But when there's a major difference, like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs,
We split it up in Cloudy Chance of Meatballs 1 and Cloudy Chance of Meatballs 2.
They're basically the same movie, though, right?
No. Because Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 1. Go Kent.
Directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, a local scientist is often regarded as a failure until he invents a machine that can make food fall from the sky. But little does he know that things are about to take a turn for the worst.
Bum, bum, bum. Oh, no. And it stars Anna Faris, Bill Hader, and Bruce Campbell. And Mr. T.
Yeah.
I'll say it. This is my favorite movie on the list.
Is it really?
This entire list we're talking about today, all 35. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I love it. I own it. I think the humor is sharp. I think it's very quick.
Like sharp cheddar?
Yeah. It's ridiculous and humorous. I really, really enjoy this movie from start to finish. The little monkey with the translator named Steve and all the inventions he makes. And there's so many things. Like, just for an example, I just want to give a quick example. So they have this large water bowl with the world's largest sardine in it, which is this tiny little fish. And they have a splash zone set up, and it's like one seat is the splash zone. And I was like, that's pretty funny. And then the entire bowl ends up tipping over, and everyone in the crowd gets soaking wet except for the guy in the splash zone because of how it went down. And he's like, oh, come on. And I was like, that's like a double joke. So good.
It's a great scene this guy's so excited about.
I know, he is pretty excited. So everyone, if you have not seen Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, it's a new one. Yeah, I was just trying to make up more jokes. Joel wants to marry it. So
this is Sony's Pictures production. Also, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. This was one of their first, I believe.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And they came. Their names are going to come up a couple times because they've done a couple really good things.
Like 21 Jump Street, which came probably right after
That's
this.
not a Disney animated.
Oh, it's not? It's not a cartoon?
It's not a cartoon.
Oh, okay. Should kids watch it?
My name's Steve.
My name's Jeff. Yeah, you're obsessed with Steve right now.
Steve.
I expected nothing from this movie. Expected nothing because it's a adaptation of a kid's book, and I didn't think there was enough material.
And they had failed a bunch of those in a row, right?
Yeah, they really had.
I mean, it was like Wild Things.
The book's not that
everything else.
good.
There's nothing that great. It's a fun concept, but man, this movie came out swinging. Is hilarious and a tier 1.
That was me agreeing with the drink of water in my mouth.
All right.
My hand's wet.
Yep. Sorry.
Next one is, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2.
Tier 3.
You don't like the guy that turns into a turkey and...
That's the first one.
Oh, that's the first one?
Flint Lockwood now works at the Live Corp Corporation for his idol Chester V, but he's forced to leave his post when he learns that his most infamous machine is still operational and is churning out menacing food-animal hybrids.
It's kind of like Jurassic World. Not Jurassic World, I guess. It's when they go back to this island that they left and found out the food has mutated into animals.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's just a vehicle for food puns. Like they're like, oh no, there's a leak in the boat. And like a leak stands up and screams and runs off, which is probably the best gag of the entire movie.
But it's like antelopes, but they're cantaloupes. Just dumb stuff like that.
Yeah. It's just lazy. And it's not directed by the Phil Lord and Miller.
We're fans of dad jokes. We're fans of puns on this show. This movie, it just crams them down your throat, and
because it's food.
Because it's food.
Dad joke.
But it's annoying. This movie is one of the most annoying on the list, actually, which is sad.
It's such a far fall from the first one.
And is Mr. T not in this movie?
No, it's Terry Crews.
Yeah,
he took over for that role. Also, they put $22 million less into this movie, and they made
less money into the sequel,
and they made $30 million more than they did
that's
the
how
first
sequels
one.
work.
Undeserved.
Seriously. We agree?
Agreed.
All right. Next one is Despicable Me and Despicable Me 2 and... No, that's it.
Wow, I haven't seen 3.
Yeah.
But Despicable Me
You're
1,
really missing out.
We did lump these two together.
Just ask Ken. He loves that one.
It's so fluffy. So when a criminal mastermind uses a trio of orphan girls as pawns for a grand scheme, he finds their love is profoundly changing him for the better.
Starring Steve Carell, Jason Segel, and Russell Brand. This one I have a hard time with because it created the Minions.
But you want to hate it. I know you want to
hate it. But I do enjoy it. I like the idea of the bad guy, learning a lesson. It's a one of those tropes that we see in movies.
It's basically Breaking Bad for kids, right?
Opposite of Breaking Bad.
Opposite? Okay.
It's bad guy going good, not good guy breaking bad.
Yeah, that's why it's for kids.
Instead of making blue candy, it's sometimes blue Minions.
Well, and the whole Minions thing is because they didn't have the budget to create henchmen, and so they made these little blobs. Instead, they were much easier and cheaper to animate. So because of that, that's why we have these Minions running over our lives.
Isn't it crazy that Illumination Studios... This was one of their first ones. A Minion is talking over me, and that is the most annoying thing ever.
Remember when you had that meme with your quote attached to it with a Minion picture? That was great. I'll repost it.
Please don't. I hate Minions so much. But guess what? This movie is kind of funny. Underline kinda.
Both
This
movies?
is a tier. Yeah, both movies, actually. Even the second one has some pretty fun parts.
I like the mutated Minions, actually, when they turn purple.
You've seen the third one, though, right, Kent?
No, I haven't.
You haven't?
I chose not to.
Oh.
It's a tier 2 because it's kind of funny.
I'm giving it a tier 1.
What? Despicable Me?
It made it only because it has cemented its place in the animated canon. Like, it is there.
This is a ton of sequels.
It's important in the sense of it created a whole franchise, and it created memorable characters.
Let's not go into what created a whole franchise being quality, because there's some of these movies.
Well, there's a difference between being quality in the sense of you remember things from it, and in a franchise in the sense of
Transformers, tier 1.
Cranking them out. But I gave this was one that bounced around from tier 2 to tier 1, but it landed in tier 1 before I got here tonight, so I'm going to keep it there.
Okay.
And later you can tell us what you pushed out to make it tier 1.
That was a brave choice, my friend.
Thank you. I'm a brave man.
For Despicable Me.
Yeah.
All right, next movie is Fern Gully.
The name is Batty. The logic is errate.
This is 1992.
The magical inhabitants of a rainforest fight to save their home, which is threatened by logging and a polluting force of destruction called Hexus.
Played by Tim Curry. No. Tim Curry is like this hissing, wheezing tar monster. And then you got the Prince Eric lookalike and the Ariel lookalike shrinking down into a rainforest, an Australian rainforest. So I didn't know I didn't know it was set in Australia.
Speaking of movies that we watched when we were kids in school, this is one that was shown, and it's honestly propaganda.
Oh, it is.
It's totally one that you're sitting there in class and you're like, save the rainforest. Please. Don't cut down the trees.
Save rainforest. Save.
and you really are terrified that they're going to cut down all the trees in the world. And this movie does that.
Ken, were you anywhere near Mount Warning?
No.
On the eastern coast of Australia?
Nope. I was on the west coast.
I had no idea that Australia had rainforest.
Joel,
I didn't either.
Joel, Ferngully's not real.
But they're based on there. It's based in that area. Is there a rainforest in Australia?
There is.
Then that's where Ferngully lives.
Obviously. They don't make this crap
By the way,
kid.
starring Samantha Mathis, who was big in the 90s, Christian Slater, Robin Williams, and Tim Curry. In fact, Robin Williams, this is his first animation role. He was the Batty Coda. But he provided 14 hours of improvised lines. And so they actually kind of beefed up his role because it was like this originally 8-minute cameo.
You mean basically what I do is they just hit record and he just starts talking for 14 hours? Because that was kind of a shtick.
Yeah, and that's... I sometimes quote Batty. Like when I want to change the subject, I'll just go, price check on prune juice, Bob. Price check on prune juice. Because he does that at one point in the movie when they flick his little antenna. And so that's his changing a subject line. Kent, go.
Okay, so for this one, I had this low in tier 2, actually, because of the propaganda thing. But man, this is a quality movie with ideals that I don't really support. But it's good, and I remember it well, so it's a tier 1.
You're giving this a tier 1?
I'm giving Ferngully the last
You just said it
rainforest.
was terrible.
You tree hugger.
In this way, I think I am. I can't deny that this movie made an impact.
Deny it.
No, I never will.
You know how I
Save the
feel about
trees.
heavy-handed movies, Kent.
Yes.
You know how I feel about message movies. Mm-hmm. You know how I feel about pandering.
Yes.
But you also know how much I love rapping bats.
Rapping bats.
And I mean,
Up here.
No, don't get so. And I think Tim Curry's a good villain. But having watched this one fairly recently with my kids.
Oh, you did?
It's not as good as I remember. Like, really, the parts that I remember are the good parts, and there's some meh in between. This landed at a tier 2.
Okay.
No high fives this time, fellas.
No.
All right, next movie is Home
Kent,
from
if I may.
2015.
Tim Johnson, director, starring Jim Parsons, Rihanna, and Steve Martin. And here's the synopsis. Agents Mulder and Scully encounter a family of inbred, animal-like brothers living on a remote farm in a remote section of Pennsylvania.
Whoa, Joel, that's
I'm
an episode
so
of X-Files.
mad at you because I have the agents encounter a family of inbred animal-like brothers up top. I was so excited to give that joke.
I know, that's why I pounced, because I was like, I got a joke.
Dang it.
All right, listener, that's an episode.
There's an episode in season 4
explain.
of X-Files where it was only shown on TV one time because it's so graphic and gross.
Originally, they did end up showing it later on, but
it's about this
It
inbred
takes
family.
It wasn't that bad.
It's pretty
bad.
gross.
It's pretty gross, but it's called Home. And I did make the joke. I think I made it on Twitter.
This is the one where
movie
he
came out.
comes into the room with the axe and kills the sheriff or something.
The bat in the car. Yeah,
The bat? And it was a bat.
yeah, it's a bat, and he's in his car. Anyway, but this is actually a 2015 movie. Ken, you can read the real synopsis.
An alien on the run from his own people makes friends with a girl. He tries to help her on her quest, but can be an interference. That's the worst plot ever.
That really was.
So basically, Rihanna
At least it wasn't dinner food. Who writes that?
slaughter for dinner food.
Slaughter
So
for
Jim
dinner.
Parsons from The Big Bang Theory and Rihanna are in a movie together. Isn't that great?
That makes sense.
Oh, I am waving my arms in the air, and I am acting like I just don't care. No, this movie's bad. It's a tier 3.
It is an easy tier 3. Can we move on?
Yep. Hotel Transylvania and Hotel Transylvania 2.
Welcome to the Hotel Transylvania.
I wonder what you were doing there.
Dracula, who operates a high-end resort away from the human world, goes into overprotective mode when a boy discovers the resort and falls for the Count's teenage daughter. And then it continues where they have a kid and, spoiler alert, they have a kid and he tries to
That's 2, yeah.
help the kid transform into a vampire.
Because, yeah, their human-hating grandfather comes into town.
So here are all the reasons.
Starring Adam Sandler.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin James, Andy Samberg, and Selena Gomez.
Yes.
Yes.
And I was just about to say that. Here are all the reasons you should hate this movie, and I was just about to read off the cast list.
Way to
'Cause it has,
spoil it, Joel.
David Spade and all those guys.
It's basically grown-ups.
Well,
Sandler's crew.
it's a full Happy Madison production, right?
No, it's actually
Sony Pictures.
Sony?
and this is why it's kind of good. Jendi Tartakovsky, who did Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Laboratory, and Samurai Jack.
I love that you said laboratory.
I have to.
Laboratory.
And so he's actually like a really cool cult director, and he did 1 and 2 and is actually working on 3 now.
Really?
But we did lump these two together, Kent.
We did.
I think that goes to show something about it, if we lump these two together.
It's the best thing Sandler's been involved with since his early days. It really is. I avoided these movies for probably the first 3 years when the first one came out, and then
Yeah,
my
they're
daughter
not terrible.
wanted to watch it, and I watched it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's kind of good.
Blah, blah, blah.
It actually fits, like the stupidity of
Yeah.
like their humor fits into a cartoon.
So I give this one still a tier 2, but it's a high tier 2.
I'm going to completely agree with Kent. It's a high tier 2.
Yeah.
This one actually was in my tier 1, and I don't know if I bumped it out for other ones, but really, and I agree with Kent. This is the best thing Adam Sandler has done since like the early 2000s. I think like maybe Mr. Deeds was the
Hey,
last
Mr.
thing I
East was
liked.
probably his last
good
one.
This comes along, and I'm like,
Good.
that's good. And then I watched the second one thinking it was going to be even worse. It wasn't bad. It was about the same.
Yeah.
And I think that
I'm actually anticipating the third one. which
about
is
the
weird.
same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like and I do like the monster theme and stuff like that. I love showing my kids stuff like that.
All right, next movie. It's Transformers.
Transformers! Dun, 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 dun. More than meets the eye. You got the touch. Dun, dun,
This is a
dun,
musical
dun.
episode.
You got falsetto. What?
I said you got falsetto.
Okay. Starring Orson Welles, Robert Stack, and Leonard Nimoy, among many, many, many others.
The Autobots must stop a colossal planet-consuming robot. That's a one thing. Colossal planet-consuming robot who goes after the Autobot matrix of leadership. At the same time, they must defend themselves against an all-out attack from the Decepticons.
No, you can't say it like that. You go, the Decepticons.
Decepticons.
Fun fact, that's actually the only thing Michael Bay read before he started making the movies.
Just the synopsis.
Yeah.
Colossal Planet Robot, which is
That's
actually
it.
in
That's
the
it.
5th movie.
And the Colossal Planet
Spoiler
Robot.
alert, Earth is Unicron.
Hey, are they done with those movies now?
Unicron.
Because the last one flopped?
No, they said this is the final Transformers movie. They have a Transformers universe planned, and this one
That's what I knew. So I
led
wondered.
off with a stinger at the end.
But this one was the animated one made back in 1986, and it was the final film role for Orson Welles. He died a year before it actually came out. Like, he recorded everything, and he wasn't very happy with his performance, but
I'm sure.
oh well.
Probably
He did
killed him.
fine. The film's story takes place in the magical year of 2005.
I love that too.
That is really funny.
And the soundtrack by Vince DiCola, who did a lot of the Rocky stuff.
And Metallica's in there somewhere.
Metallica?
There's like a Metallica song.
I don't remember Metallica. I remember Weird Al.
Was there Weird Al as well?
Yeah, in the Junkyard. They do Dare to Be Stupid.
Oh yeah, I'm
pretty sure. One of the reasons I like this one is because it is, I don't want to say dark, but it's not afraid to kill people off.
Okay. I'm going to agree with you there because you watch like a G.I. Joe or a Transformers movie and there's always lasers going over heads. There's no risk. It's basically a Marvel movie of cartoons.
Yeah.
And so this movie kills people constantly. Decepticons come and attack and they're killing Transformers you know very well.
Optimus Prime, Ironhide, Prowl, Ratchet, Brawn, Windcharger, and Wheeljack. Oh, and get this. No Decepticons, except for Starscream, were killed in this movie.
Did they say at the end of the movie, no Decepticons were harmed in the filming of this movie?
Except for Starscream.
Starscream.
But the Autobots don't win. And they don't kill. Well, they don't kill any of the Decepticons. I think Starscream was actually killed by Galvatron, who's Megatron, reborn, and all the other Decepticons who were destroyed got remade as well.
Here's my favorite part about this. So you have Megatron at the I watched this 2 nights ago, by the way. Megatron.
Jealous.
Yeah, I know, right? Megatron is a guy with a giant. He's a robot with a giant cannon on his arm.
Yes.
But then he can transform into a tiny little gun with a scope
that someone else has to shoot.
That Starscream shoots, and it kills a bunch of. And
That's
then he's
random.
like, and then he goes back to normal size and still shoots people.
Yeah.
It's just dumb.
By the way, Kent, you sang The Touch there a while back. Did you know that was actually originally written for the Sylvester Stallone film Cobra?
Oh, really?
Which doesn't fit that movie
not
at all, if you think about it. Also, this movie was being made at the same time as G.I. Joe the movie. And because of the negative reaction to Optimus Prime, spoiler alert, getting killed in Transformers the movie, they decided in G.I. Joe the movie, they just put Duke, who's one of the main characters in that movie, they just put him in a coma and he'd wake up at the end because they weren't going to kill him off. They thought about it, but then they didn't do it. Also, because this movie underperformed so much at the box office, the G.I. Joe the movie went to direct-to-video. So it's
way to go, Transformers.
Way to go, Transformers. You are a tier 1.
You're giving it tier 1? Is it just for nostalgia?
No, I really, really think this movie's like good. Like I enjoy it. I watch it. Maybe it's the soundtrack.
Do you kind of wish the humans weren't there because they get a bit annoying? It's a father and son.
Transform, California. No, but like I mean, just the songs alone from The Touch and Dare, and then that heartbeat kind of music they have at the beginning with Unicron's theme. I don't know what they call it. I like this. This is the tier 1 for me.
It's a tier 1 as well.
Yes,
of course.
I mean, here's the thing. This kind of gets the Ferngully vote where it's mostly nostalgia. And I remember loving it for the risks that it took. As a kid, I'm like, they just killed off a lead character. You can't kill off Optimus.
But then they made Rodimus Prime.
I hated Hot Rod back then when I was watching the cartoon. Now I'm kind of okay with him. I don't know why.
Hot Rod?
Yeah, I'm okay with Hot Rod.
Yeah, you got old.
Yeah, I got old.
You lost touch, Kent. Next movies
He lost the touch.
is
He lost the power.
is Ice Age 1 through 16.
Ice Age Meltdown, Ice Age Dawn of Dinosaurs, Ice Age Continental Drift, Ice Age Collision Course. Those are the ones we're talking about.
Because we left the other ones out.
Spanning. Yes.
Can I give it?
Please do.
Okay, here's the synopsis. It's about a mammoth and a sloth and a saber-toothed tiger walking around. Oh, and Scrat wants his acorns.
Isn't it crazy this movie series started 2002 and went all the way till last year?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, they have 8 more planned.
Here's my thing with Ice Age.
Made that up.
No, honestly, actually, the last one bombed so badly that maybe they won't.
It bombed that badly?
Yeah, it didn't do very well.
Huh.
But
it only made like 400 million?
Yeah, exactly. Here's why these movies are made. Anytime you drive by a minivan on the freeway,
Money.
some Ice Age movie is playing on the little pull-out TV for kids. I only ever see SpongeBob or an Ice Age movie playing in a van with the TV in it.
He's been in so many accidents from watching other people's TVs.
I'm like, which is that Dawn of the Dinosaurs?
Oh, it's Dawn of the Dead. What are they showing their children?
You know what I saw somebody playing the other day? The Good Dinosaur. And I was like, what are you doing? Don't subject your children
look,
to
that's
that.
like Benadryl. It's like, hey, let's go on a road trip. Here's some Benadryl. I love irrigation.
Also, this is one of those weird facts that I looked at. I was looking at the directors, and it seems like this weird pattern where a director will co-direct with another director, And in the next movie, it'll be the co-director directing with a new co-director, and they trade off like that. Like it goes in this cycle.
Maybe that's a thing.
Maybe, but maybe just people just get tired.
They
of
don't
doing
want to
the
keep
same old,
doing
same
it.
old.
Yeah.
I can't tell one movie from another. I'm sorry.
Okay, look, the first one is slightly better than the others, and
The first one, they find a human baby,
Yeah.
and they need to get the baby back to humans.
The first one's amusing,
And
right?
then other movies, they basically, whoever doesn't have a significant other, they'll pair them off with
That's true.
a significant other.
That's
They'll
true.
take turns. I actually have good memories of the first two because I think I watched one of them. Once again, I can't tell them apart when I was making out with a girl once. And so I do have
like
good
that's
memories.
never happened.
I like this movie.
Good one.
This is like early.
Funny.
This is early to mid. Hey, Jake, relax. But this is like early to mid 2000s. So I do have good memories of that. But these are tier 3 movies, and
Tier
I'm sorry to
3.
say
Wait,
it.
all of them? Even if it was just the first
If
one?
it was the first one, I go tier 2. But based
Okay.
on the average, the sunken average of the others, tier 3.
Sunken
They
average,
even waste
yeah.
Peter Dinklage in like the fourth one as a villain.
Is the Mighty Eagle?
He's a monkey. He's a mean monkey.
Angry Birds.
Oh,
It's
okay.
the Mighty Eagle.
Oh, what are you doing, Peter?
I'm sorry. What are you doing?
You're not Peter.
Peter?
Peter Dinklage.
Oh, okay. You pointed at me.
You answered.
I did. I think these movies can all be blended together. I really don't see them distinguishable from one another. However, I don't think they're like egregiously terrible. So I'm going to give this a tier 2 kind of overall. They're forgettable, but I like Scrat. I actually like the Scrat stuff.
Still?
Yeah, I think it's these fun little shorts. Like it reminds me of Looney Tunes.
All
but
right.
the main story, I'm like, okay, I remember the Manny's the Mammoth and Sid's the Sloth.
Well, I mean, you
That's about it.
covered it in the summary, right? I mean, there is no story.
They walk around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tier 2.
All right. Kind of along the same lines is our next set of movies. Kung Fu Panda 1 through 3.
Kung Fu Panda, #1 super guy. Anyone? Hong Kong Fooey? No? Okay. All right.
The Dragon Warrior has to clash against the savage Tai Lung as China's fate hangs in the balance. However, the Dragon Warrior mantle is supposedly mistaken to be bestowed upon an obese panda who is a tyro in martial arts.
Did you read this before?
Nope. I copy and pasted it from IMDb. That's the first one. It stars Jack Black, Dustin Hoffman, Lucy Liu, Angelina Jolie, and a bevy of others.
Yes.
As much as I might shrug now, I do remember thinking the first one was funny.
It is funny.
Yeah.
The first one is funny. You get that little skadoosh at the end. That's actually highly entertaining.
Yeah. Forgot about
Also,
that.
music composed by Hans Zimmer.
Nice.
So I know that's going to get Kent. You want to change your vote now, Kent? By the way, apparently this film series received acclaim, enthusiastic acclaim in China, where the series is hailed not only as an excellent contribution to the wuxia genre, but for its impressively knowledgeable understanding of Chinese culture and heritage for an American movie production.
Wushu.
Nice.
So Kung Fu Panda getting a lot of props from China.
Yeah, getting love from China.
Oh, way to go.
Yeah.
Actually, I do think across all three, there is quality there. Even the third one, which I thought would be terrible because it explores whatever his name is, Jack Black's panda.
Sandwiches?
Poe. It explores Poe's family, and Bryan Cranston plays his dad, which I can always appreciate Bryan Cranston in a
Godzilla movie?
unconventional role because he's not really in that movie.
Right.
So I think across all three, there's a quality there, but it's a tier 2 quality. It's kind of funny and kind of fun.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there are some moments in each movie that I could say I really like that part.
Yeah.
I'm giving this a tier 1.
Wow. What?
I'm giving this a tier 1 just because I think I really was caught off guard by the first one, and they've maintained good quality. And while I kind of get the second two kind of mixed up, I think it's a well done movie.
It's one of DreamWorks' best series, but not their best.
Yeah, it's actually.
I know what you think their best is.
It is the 7th highest grossing animated franchise.
Well, that's something.
Yeah. I didn't mention that. Oh man, I should tell you that.
Oh, man, I don't know.
So Ice Age.
I need some more buildup.
Ice Age is one of the highest grossing media franchises of all time.
What?
Not like animated features, like media franchises.
More than like Fast and Furious
Let
movies?
me read down just the top here. Okay,
makes
so
sense.
you have at the number 1.
That's why they keep making them.
Pokemon. Then you got Star Wars. Then you got Harry Potter. Then James Bond. Then Call of Duty. Simpsons, Star Trek, and then Ice Age.
Blech.
Think of all those huge names I just read off.
That's top 10. Still,
Ice Age.
Right?
Yeah. It's insane. Sorry, I forgot to mention that fact, but jumping back to Ice Age, but I gave Kung Fu Panda a tier 1, jumping back to that. What'd you give it, Kent?
Tier 2.
Jerk.
Sorry.
Fine.
Next movie starring a bunch of Kent's favorite people, Megamind from 2010.
Starring Will Ferrell, Jonah Hill, and Brad Pitt, and David Cross.
It's like it's asking me to hate this movie. Like the smuggest people and the least funny people, Jonah Hill, Tina Fey, Will Ferrell, and Brad Pitt. I love the concept. We talked about this a couple weeks ago.
We did.
Where it's, if Superman were to lose his powers or fail, how would Lex Luthor react? Would he try to save the world? Would he be the hero?
He'd probably beat the Joker.
He would never beat the Joker because the Joker is unpredictable and wily.
Coyote.
Wiley will beat Genius any day. No. Go on.
Just bringing
Because
up
of you guys.
Just bringing up our villains bracket. Go back and listen to it.
Right. Season 1. I give this movie a tier 3.
I gave it a tier 2.
You just fell right into that trap, though.
I know.
Yeah.
It felt like it tried to do, they also had some sort of minions in this movie as well.
Yeah, it didn't quite work out.
And the shtick wasn't quite as good as Despicable Me, which is
But
weird.
I found it somewhat entertaining. I enjoyed it enough. I don't know. I thought I enjoyed it. It seemed like a copy of Despicable Me because it came out just after it.
Yeah.
In that a bad guy trying to become a good guy and all that.
It's always sad when that happens.
But overall, fine. Tier 2.
Tier 3.
Tier 2.
3.
2.
3.
2.
4.
Ba, 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 ba.
And on that note, Minions is our next movie. 2015 Minions. This is
Here.
Gentlemen.
Hold on.
It's all in the title.
Can I give the story?
buddy?
Banana!
It's the summary.
That's the story.
Sandra Bullock, John Hamm, and Michael Keaton voice this movie.
I like seeing people that have shirts that say, ba na 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 na. It has them, and I'm like, you're a grown person. What are you doing with that shirt? like, what's going on right now?
The death of Facebook will happen because of Minions. All e-cards have been ruined.
But guys,
Tier
this
1.
film has grossed over 1.1 billion
I just became
worldwide.
Darth Vader in Revenge of the Sith.
I actually felt a little sick.
This is
just
the
then.
13th highest grossing film of all time.
Film? Why did you say film?
Because not just animated movies. Like, we're talking in the realm of like Wizard of Oz and Avatar and I hate saying Avatar in that realm. That's disgusting.
I know.
But
Minions,
Gone with the
Avatar,
Wind and Star
whatever.
Wars. And
Age
then
of
you get this one.
Ultron.
It is the second highest.
That's a slam.
It is
That
the
was.
second highest grossing animated film. Do you want to guess what the first one is? The highest grossing animated film?
Avatar.
No, not that kind of
I know,
animated.
I know.
Yeah.
Snow White's the highest grossing, right?
Frozen.
Frozen wins.
I thought Snow White had it with all the DVD
This
sales.
movie doesn't even have a story. The story is basically 60s music videos.
What are you talking about? Minions Stuart, Kevin, and Bob are recruited by Scarlet Overkill along with their husband Herb, and they hatch a plot to take over the world.
That's a good name for Scarlett Johansson, don't you think?
Scarlet Overkill?
Yeah.
I like it. I like the name.
Like that, Kent?
No.
Ken, why
Scarlet
don't you
Overkill?
go first, Ken?
No. It is such a tier 3. This is a despicable movie.
Oh, I see what you did there. Some nitty little Ken.
Easy puns.
But this is one of the highest grossing movies of all time, Kent.
That should mean nothing to
This
anybody.
is iconic, and it is really funny.
Oh, I see what you're
No,
doing.
that
here.
actually really hurt.
It
to
took
say
you
that.
too long. It took you too long, Kent. I knew what he was doing.
It's a tier 3, and it
I've
should,
seen this joke before.
it should not be getting a sequel to be released on July 3rd, 2020.
What?
Well, of course, it made $1 billion. It's going to get a sequel.
You know what's funny is a lot of these studios, they'll even with Toy Story 3 and then the future Toy Story 4 and Minions, these animation studios, they must take a lot of time and money to make these movies. Well, they do. That they think that they're just going to go straight to video.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like, no, let's release it in theater. And they get $1.1 billion for releasing it in the theaters.
Limitation.
All right, let's move on.
Sideshow Bob,
Yes.
Monster House, 2006.
starring Mitchell Musso, Sam Lerner, Spencer Locke, Steve Buscemi, Nick Cannon, Maggie Gyllenhaal, John Heder, Kevin James, Jason Lee, Catherine O'Hara, Kathleen Turner, and Fred Willard.
Holy crap.
3 teens discovered that their neighbor's house is really a living, breathing, scary monster.
Bum, bum, bum. Produced by Image Movers, Amblin Entertainment, and Columbia Pictures, and it has Robert Zemeckis and Steven Spielberg involved with it.
I watched this one for the
yeah.
first time 3 nights ago.
Really, first time?
First time ever.
Oh, Ken, I feel bad.
Why?
Because this was one of the awesomest 3D experiences I've had.
Oh,
in the
was it
theater.
really?
Yes. This was a fun 3D movie to watch.
Oh, dang. I mean, because I don't really like 3D,
Yeah,
so
he
maybe
hates
that would
3D,
have kind of
so-
convinced me.
No, and that's the thing is like Coraline. I don't really like Coraline. We're not talking about it, but I love the 3D experience of Coraline.
Okay. And maybe I think I missed the time on this one because I don't know if I just thought it was a strange... Basically, maybe the reason I don't really care for it as much as I should is the animation feels a bit dated
Does it now?
on this one.
This was just made in 2006. I mean, it was only 11 years ago.
Let's hear it.
The house itself is really cool, and it is not really a kid's movie because
No, it's not. I remember that.
People die, and there's this weird backstory that would almost fit in Coraline. This is a tier 2 for me because I really didn't dislike it at all. I just couldn't love it, and I thought I would love it because I heard so much about it.
I loved it.
Tier 1?
I really did enjoy this movie. I think it's a fun movie, and I disagree that it's not for kids. In the
Is
sense
it like
I think
the Stranger Things vibe that you get from this movie?
kind
a little
of
bit?
Yeah, definitely that's there. And I think it's a gateway movie for kids where it's like, they can't handle real horror movies. Let's show them Monster House, give them a taste of horror, and see how they deal with it. And if they wake up screaming through the night, then you don't show them it for a couple more
Has
years.
that happened?
No.
Okay,
no,
good.
No.
He's talking about his childhood.
Have you seen my child?
In 2006.
And this was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Animated Feature, but lost to Happy Feet.
I feel like this would have played out better. I know. Stop. No one can see this, but Joel is very upset. I feel like if this
My
was
feet aren't happy.
if this was a stop motion movie, I think it would have been translated a little bit better.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Maybe.
But yeah, 3D experience was great. I thought the movie was very entertaining. Tier 1.
Next movie is Monsters vs. Aliens.
Featuring Reese Witherspoon, Seth Rogen, Hugh Laurie, Will Arnett, Kiefer Sutherland, Rainn Wilson, Paul Rudd, and Stephen Colbert.
That's quite the cast.
And it's DreamWorks.
A woman transformed into a giant after she is struck by a meteorite on her wedding day becomes part of a team of monsters sent in by the U.S. government to defeat an alien mastermind trying to take over Earth.
Now, Cowboys versus Aliens, not that good. Monsters versus Aliens, pretty entertaining. Like, I like the callback to the Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. I like the reference to the Fly and the Blob. I like Kiefer Sutherland as the militant. He actually kind of made me laugh in that role.
Yeah, because the government feels very old school.
Yes, it's
Like very domineering, very 50s, Area 51
like
sort of
classic
thing.
sci-fi kind of stuff. But I really haven't gone back to watch this one a lot. Like, I remember enjoying it. I've seen the shorts they made, a bunch of little shorts. Like Night of the Living Carrots was actually pretty entertaining for kids. It's great they have it on Netflix on like the Halloween shorts. But this one almost made a tier 1 for me, but it got to tier 2.
Yeah, I actually feel bad for this movie because every movie was getting a sequel at this point, and you can see from a lot of movies on this list, there are a lot of worthless sequels out there, but they decided not to make it. DreamWorks decided this one did not make enough money to warrant a sequel, and for an animated movie, that's not good.
No.
This one's a tier 2. I really enjoyed it. Great cast, great performance. I even like Seth Rogen as the Blob.
Really?
Yeah.
You hate Seth Rogen?
Yeah, I really don't like him.
Next movie, Over the Hedge. One of Joel's very favorites.
Based on a comic strip, which was weird because it really doesn't have that much to do with the comic strip of Over the Hedge. And starring Bruce Willis, Gary Shandling, Steve Carell, William Shatner, Wanda Sykes, and Nick Nolte.
A scheming raccoon fools a mismatched family of forest creatures into helping him repay a debt of food by invading a new suburban sprawl that popped up while they were hibernating, and learns a lesson about family himself.
Tree hugger.
I was so close to making this tier 1.
Wow.
This movie was, because it's one of the first DreamWorks movies I think I even cared to watch.
Was it the super compelling title?
Over the Hedge?
Yeah,
Over the Hedge.
Hedge.
I think
just
it was-
got you right there.
It's the name of the comic.
Boom.
I
mean,
think,
wow.
honestly, the characters were quite diverse and fun. The voice cast was really good. And Steve Carell is that squirrel.
The squirrel was the highlight.
It was
this is when
great.
Steve Carell
Bruce
was
Willis
still,
was even good.
Steve Carell was just coming into his
Yeah.
own at this point, and the part that I will remember the most from this movie is, spoiler alert for Over the Hedge. Actually, it's not a big spoiler, but the squirrel, Steve Carell is this really hyper squirrel the entire time, and at the end they give him caffeine, and he goes like supersonic, and everything else is going super slow around him, and he's just walking normal. It was a great moment. Like, it was one of those kind of, I didn't see that coming, but it's a very well done part.
Yeah, this is an upper tier 2 for me.
All right.
And I gave it a tier 2 as well.
High five. Next movie, Antonio Banderas as a cat.
Because Ben Folds did Rock in the Suburbs for Over the Hedge.
Puss in Boots, 2011.
Directed by Chris Miller, who is not Christopher Miller from Claudia the Chance of Meatballs. It's a different Chris Miller.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Because
So
I
he's
was like,
doing his own thing, his solo venture.
Starring Antonio Banderas, Salma Hayek, Zach Galifianakis, Billy Bob Thornton, and Demi Sedaris.
Thornton.
An outlaw cat, his childhood egg friend. Hold on, let me read that again. An outlaw cat, his childhood egg friend, and a seductive thief kitty set out in search for the eggs of the fabled golden goose to clear his name, restore lost honor, and regain the trust of his mother.
And this is a prequel
And
to
town.
Shrek. This is a prequel to Shrek.
Yes.
And I think Kent and I are both going to agree that Shrek 2, well, we'll get into that next show, but Shrek 2, when Puss in Boots appears, he's great in Shrek 2.
Steals the show.
And that whole kitty face with the big eyes, was one of the best moments.
Isn't it great that they can build an entire movie off of that cute kitty face?
Exactly.
It is.
This is the problem with a lot of these spin-offs, is that they take a side character that was funny in moderation, and then when you get them full force, it's basically like licking the bottom of a Sour Patch Kids bag.
Yeah.
It's no longer good.
I do enjoy that it's...
I love the bottom of that bag.
Then you'd love Puss in Boots.
Then you probably have canker sores. But I do enjoy that they have Antonio Banderas and Selma Hayek from Desperado, Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Like it is, I like the pairing of them. But man, this movie is really forgettable. There's nothing special about it.
Boring.
It's boring. You're right.
I found this movie to be completely boring. That cat was actually
That's
entertaining.
the only funny part.
Yeah, the cat. Tier 3.
Tier 3.
Tier 3. All right. The Swan Princess, 1994.
Now I have actually personal ties to the Swan Princess.
You're related?
He does ballet.
You used to date.
A friend of mine who listens to the show.
You used to stalk her.
Her dad helped create the Swan Princess.
Ooh.
And this is a local creation, the Utah creation, I should clarify.
Directed by Richard Rich.
Yes, and with the music score by Lex de Azevedo.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Saturday's Warrior.
Who are these children coming down? Whoop, hit the mic. Starring
Jimmy, oh Jimmy, don't listen to that.
Jack Palance, John Cleese, Stephen Wright, Sandy Duncan.
A power-hungry sorcerer transforms a princess into a swan by day in this tale of everlasting love.
And it was followed by 6 direct-to-video sequels.
There are still sequels coming out now.
I had no idea until I did this research that there had been a sequel to Swan Princess.
I went through Redbox the other day, and my daughter was like, "Oh, Swan Princess pirate movie," and I was like, "Sure, it's worth $1.50." Not really. It wasn't.
Not really, no.
Yeah.
Also, this one, it suffered at the box office because this is when Disney was pulling out their jerk card, and they re-released Lion King right when Swan Princess came out, intentionally, to eat into their box office.
Wait.
Disney.
Re-release it? That's like
They
the same time.
re-released. Yeah, no, so Lion King was on its way out, and I think they took it out of theaters, and then I remember seeing the commercials.
It's like, see it again for the first time.
And I remember the commercials saying, "The king has returned." And then I do the Nas, and yeah, they re-released it.
That's mean.
Just to take a bite out of Swan Princess. So rude. Disney, this is why we're doing a non-Disney animated show. Jerks. In fact, Variety magazine called it Sabotage by Disney.
Nice.
Sabotage!
I give this one a tier 2.
Tier 2?
It's a nice story. The animation is actually quite good. The animal sidekicks are okay.
No. I like Speed. I like
Yeah, okay,
Stephen Wright.
Speed is great.
Friends call me Speed.
Right.
I like him. And Jean Bob I like as well.
It's a decent story, and it's fine. There's just nothing that's like special about it. And I think it could have been special.
It's good. I enjoyed it, and we did watch this one a lot. It didn't, since we had a limit, and this got in the cutoff of being put into tier 2. So this is a tier 2 for me as well.
Tier 2.
All right. Next movie is Rock-A-Doodle.
Rock-A-Doodle! Chanticleer. Rock-A-Doo, stay away, you big old nasty rain cloud. Sun do shine, you better shine.
Let them keep going.
I sing that with my kids.
Directed by Don Bluth.
Yes, it's a Don Bluth one.
In order to defeat the Grand Duke of Owls, a young boy transformed into a cat teams up with a group of barnyard animals to find a rooster who can raise the sun.
There you go.
That's
it is.
what happened. So
it's the kid. His city's flooding, and then does he have a dream or is it real? But he gets pulled into this cartoon where Chanticleer, the rooster, who's basically Elvis, he goes away, and he's the one who makes the sun come up every time he crows. Like literally, he crows, the sun comes up. Mm-hmm. But when he goes away, the sun doesn't come up. The sun doesn't shine.
Oh no!
So then he has to convince Chanticleer to come back. Ken, what do you tell? Let me hear your thoughts about this.
It's a very forgettable movie.
What?
A what?
Sun do shine, you better shine.
I even think the animation in this one's a bit messy. Nothing stands out here, but I watched it maybe 3 years ago with my daughter.
Something stood out to Joel. I can tell you that much.
I know.
Yeah.
I wonder what.
Rock-A-Doo, what a day.
This is a tier 2 for me. Just because I'd give it a tier 3, but I think Joel might kill me.
I was going to say, this was a tier 3 10 seconds ago, Joel.
I watched this one a lot when I was younger, and I was really excited to show it to my kids. It wasn't as good as I remember, but it's still a tier 2 because of nostalgia and fun. So, did you say tier 2?
Tier 2.
Sun do shine, you better shine.
Next movie is Surf's Up.
Tier 3.
2011.
Tier 3.
Tier 3. What about you, Kent?
Tier 3.
What does Kenny D think? He must like it.
Do you want me to even read the plot?
Yeah, go ahead, because it features the voices of Shia LaBeouf, Jeff Bridges, Zooey Deschanel, James Woods, and John Heder.
A behind-the-scenes look at the annual Penguin World Surfing Championship and its newest participant, up-and-comer, Cody Maverick.
It's kind of like Cars for penguins.
I actually struggle with this one. I actually didn't watch it till last week in preparation for this show.
And this came out right around the same time as March of the Penguins, Madagascar, and Happy Feet. And so people just called it one of the Penguin movies.
Right. And it really threw me off because young Shia LaBeouf is seducing Zooey Deschanel in this movie. They're voice actors, obviously, but I was like, something isn't quite fitting here. I don't know.
What's that?
Why'd you gesture at me when you said that?
Something's not quite fitting here.
No, actually,
Something's wrong with this area.
The first 10 minutes in this movie, I was actually pretty captivated because they basically make The Office, but they interview penguins and their families. And it's kind of like mockumentary style, I guess.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is clever. But then it never goes into why it's even doing that other than the gimmick.
Yep.
And by the end, it's almost like a rushed ending.
It does.
Like there's like this legend of a lost surfer, and then there's a championship, and that's it. And John Heder's in this movie, and he kind of ruins every movie he's in.
Ouch.
Sorry. I mean, since Napoleon Dynamite, like you know his voice, and it kind of makes it dates the movie that he's in. This is a tier 3.
I so want to sing "You Know My Name" by Chris Cornell right now because you said you know his name, but I won't.
Yeah.
And this actually was up for best
you want to
animated
just sing
feature
all the time?
No.
Oh, you know what's weird about this movie?
It lost to Ratatouille.
Great score.
What?
No, it actually has a really good score.
It has Green Day. You don't like Green Day?
No, not the soundtrack. The instrumental
like the
score.
score,
Like when
okay.
he's going over waves, like I'm like, that's really good and doesn't belong in this movie at all. So go check it out.
Wait, would you give it?
Tier 3.
Okay, good.
2 tier 3s. Next one is about the brave little toaster.
Wop bop a loo bop a wop bop bop tutti frutti oh Rudy. That's what everyone remembers from this movie, right? Is the dancing scenes with
I
the
don't-
toaster?
no,
no,
don't think so.
Have you seen this one, Jacob?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
Tier 3.
what?
That's why I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Just like that?
Yeah.
You're not even going to read the synopsis?
I caught Kent's psychic waves when I was a child. It said, don't watch this.
A group of dated
That's gonna
appliances
mess up your
embarks
brain.
on a journey to the city to find its
Explains
master
a lot.
after being abandoned in its cabin in the woods. Brave little toaster, bad animation.
I know why Kent hates
Not
it.
much fun. Why?
Because without Brave Little Toaster, there would probably be no Pixar.
That's exactly my point. This movie,
Told
if
you.
they made it today, everyone would be like, it's brilliant. This movie is genius. It's just an old Pixar movie that's not really all that good.
Kent, no, literally.
And this is Toy Story. This
No,
is every...
literally. The some of the founding members of Pixar Animation Studios were involved with this film.
Oh, are you serious?
John Lasseter was one of them. In
Oh,
fact,
so they did just reuse the whole story.
That's
Yeah.
the only reason I know the name of it.
John Lasseter.
Oh, I'm going to watch this. I bet it's
actually
good.
pitched.
Yeah, because Rotten Tomatoes really likes it, so you'll like it too.
But John Lasseter actually pitched this movie to Disney executives, and they rejected it. And then he was fired a few minutes later after that.
Really?
Like minutes after his pitch, he got fired.
So do you think because this movie didn't quite catch on, even though it has a few sequels, he basically stole the plot and then went out to everything with Pixar? Because that's what it is.
You mentioned the sequels. I just want to read them real quick.
Yeah.
So, The Brave Little Toaster to the Rescue in 1999. This came out in 1987. So, Brave Little Toaster in 1999. And then The Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars in 1998.
Well, it's really scary to make toast, but going to
The
Mars
Brave
isn't
Little
so bad.
Toaster Goes to Mars.
Here's my favorite part. What's the lamp's name, Joel?
Hey, that's the Mars
Lampy.
tie-in.
Lampy.
John Lasseter, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because John,
Yeah.
whatever his last
John
name.
Lovitz.
No.
John Lovitz was in this.
He was.
John.
Bon Jovi.
Jingleheimer Smith. His name is my name, too.
It's the stupid movie that bombed by John Lasseter. John.
F. Kennedy.
Let's keep all this in.
Oh my gosh. Let's not.
John Carter.
Carter, thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Hey. Psychic connection.
You guys, that was the longest anyone's ever thought about John Carter right then.
That's worth keeping
It's a
now.
tier 2.
I give it a tier 2. Brave Little Toaster, I give it a
Tier 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Next is the Care Bears movie, 1985.
Which I learned some things about the Care Bears, actually. That
Was
they
it creepy stuff? Because
well,
I hope it was.
They started as like stickers, and then they became plush toys, and then they got a TV series.
Then it got weird.
Oh, no. Then they
No?
got movies. Then they got a TV series.
When did it get
Isn't
bad?
that weird that it went in that order? I
I
have no
thought
idea.
the TV series came first, and then they got a movie because of it. But no, this kind of helped launched it.
The Care Bears watch over a younger brother and sister who have lost their trust in humanity. Meanwhile, an evil wizard wishes to cover the earth in concrete.
Which really doesn't make sense. It's the face in the book.
Here's what I love about this movie is that And this and the sequel is these Care Bears, like Tenderheart Bear and Gentle Bear, they look after orphans that are just meandering through old circus towns.
They care.
They really do care. And like the morality in these movies is just totally in your face, and you almost have to love it for that reason.
Kent,
because they care.
I brought a clip.
Ooh.
Because this, the music in this, I feel is some of those memorable music we have on the list. And
I'm so excited.
I'm gonna play this clip for you now.
Do you have a house made all out of wood for keeping you dry when it's raining?
I stay on top when the rain goes drop. Look, I'm hydroplaning.
This is why I don't let kids sing.
Guys, they just rhyme. Raining and hydroplaning. And they're talking about the difference between Forest of Feelings, Care-a-Lot, and Earth. Some ways not.
'Cause home is in your heart.
Is that really from the movie?
That's really from the
Joel,
movie.
you just talked me into a tier 2.
Where was it before?
Tier 1.
Oh, no.
I think you talked me into a tier 2. That was awful.
It's terrible. I remember,
That was bad.
once again, I remember as a kid, I remember the book with the face in it that possessed a little boy.
Which is really cool.
It's creepy. And then you meet the Care Bear cousins, which, okay, this was...
No, that's Care Bears 2 in New Generation.
That's this one.
Is it really?
Yeah, because they did this one. That's the whole song in that one is the Forest of Feelings, Care-a-Lot, and Earth. But this is one of the first films based on a toy line, and they specifically made the Care Bear cousins to sell more toys.
Right, makes sense.
And because of this movie and a couple other Care Bear movies, that's when DreamWorks Entertainment finally bought it as the cartoon for the Saturday morning cartoons. And it had a budget of $2 million, so they didn't have a lot to go with for rhymes.
They couldn't get better singers for $2 million.
Yeah.
Oh god, it's so bad.
They're like, where's a child? Any child will do. Just start singing.
To be honest with you, this has like great characterization in the movie.
Does it?
It really does. And then there's the whole twist of the old man telling the story at the beginning of the movie.
Mickey Rooney?
Mickey Rooney is the kid that was became evil during the movie and had to be redeemed.
And he's married to one of the orphans.
Oh, yes, he is.
Yeah.
I
Spoiler alert.
had given this one a tier 1, but it was mostly because I had to fit in a few more into my tier 1 category, and that song ruined everything. Joel, what about
I'm
you?
so sorry. As bad as that song is, because it's terrible, I still have a place in my heart for this movie. The Care Bear stare and the cousins and the book and everything like that I thought was interesting enough that I gave it a tier 2.
Okay.
We agree?
No, I'm tier 1 still because I had to fit a tier 1 in there.
Look,
Just give it to the
Kent's
Croods.
hydroplaning.
Just give it to the Croods. That's next.
The Croods? Uh-huh. After their cave is destroyed, a caveman family must trek through an unfamiliar, fantastical world with the help of an inventive boy. Played by Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds, and this is the standard
Is he the
story.
inventive boy?
Yes.
Yeah, the kid comes along,
Boys.
dad doesn't approve, and then the dad is overprotective, but then learns to be not overprotective as the movie.
Yeah.
Nicolas Cage, we should clarify. His dad is Nicolas Cage.
And Nicolas Cage, he is why the movie stands out, honestly. Like, because you have Emma Stone, whose voice is semi-recognizable.
Emma Stone's in it, and you're saying that Nicolas Cage is the reason it stands out?
Nicolas Cage as like these...
I'm telling Emma Stone.
It kind of sounded like Nicolas Cage right there, actually. He's kind of perfect in this role. And I think it really fits him. I think he makes the movie what it is. That said, it's not super great. My daughter loved it. And so I liked it too because she liked it. Mm-hmm. Whenever the monkey, and this is a reused joke, but dun, 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 plays throughout the whole movie. I give it a tier 2.
Okay. I actually feel kind of bad for the Croods because they got a television series and they had a sequel scheduled, but then no one really liked the movie. No one really liked the TV series, and the sequel was canceled. So I kind of feel bad for him, and I think this is pretty run-of-the-mill. I even forgot about the monkey till you just mentioned it.
Yeah.
I give this one a tier 3.
Okay, that's fair.
All right, next movie is The Iron Giant, 1999.
Directed by Brad Bird in his directorial debut.
A young boy befriends a giant robot from outer space that a paranoid government agent wants to destroy and will soon appear in Ready Player One.
Yep. And it's weird because the robot only says one thing the entire time. I am Groot.
No. A young Vin Diesel voiced?
You're right. He says, family.
That was it.
Yeah.
A lot of people love this one. A lot of people do.
Including that guy, the tall guy in the corner.
I saw this movie on a date back in 1999, and I was pretty excited because it was right about the time of Tarzan.
You
And
were
so-
just excited because you were on a date.
I was on a date. Like, anytime I can be on a date is a great time.
Did you make out through this one too?
This
No.
movie's better because a girl's sitting next to me.
Remember, there wasn't a lot of making out in the history of Kent here, but especially in the 90s. So Iron Giant, I took this girl to, and I was like, this will be a fun kind of Disney-like movie. And then all of a sudden, it's really old school animation.
It's like a serial, like a 50s, 40s kind of a serial.
There's
thing.
a little bit of vulgarity.
Yes.
And then it's about a war machine, essentially. And I was like,
Iron Man and War Machine.
like that's really strange. And then
It's a good twist.
It had to grow on me. And Joel, I'm now one of these people that absolutely love this movie. This is an easy tier 1.
An easy tier 1?
An easy tier 1.
Can I have a bone to pick with this one?
Okay, please do.
Because you mentioned the profanity.
Yes.
This taught my kids profanity. Where afterwards they started repeating some of the words. I'm like, where'd you learn that? And they're like, the Iron Giant. And I'm like, oh,
Oh, Kent.
Wait, it's my fault?
come on.
Uncle Kent says sorry, everybody.
By the way, the novel this was based on is actually called The Iron Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think they changed it for American release, but because of Iron Man.
But you kind of have to give this movie credit because all you guys who like Pixar out there, this also gave Brad Bird his
You
start.
gave Toaster 3. So don't give me this Pixar.
Yeah, but I mean,
history
Pixar's
crud.
just Incredibles. That's it.
By the way,
isn't it?
apparently the studio executives wanted to add a sidekick dog, set the film in the present day, and include a soundtrack of hip hop to appeal to the kids. This movie's a tier 1.
Okay, and there we go.
Brad Bird was like, nope.
So you're okay with the words that this movie taught your kids?
No, I'm okay with this movie. I'm never showing it to my kids again.
He uses
Maybe when
those
they're like
words.
13.
He uses those words all the time. That's where they got.
I know his wife does.
Groot. Wait, what?
She's the one that she carries the whip.
Moving on, the last to the Last Unicorn, 1982.
My only real memory of The Last Unicorn is it made me cry. Like I this is on Netflix and I plan to watch it before
Why
the
cry?
show.
There's more unicorns. Oh crap! No, that's the last one. Oh,
and it was delicious.
Was she slaughtered for dinner food?
It was because of the Red Bull. Red Bull made me cry.
Yeah, there is a Red Bull in it.
Yeah, and the fiery bull made me cry.
The Last Unicorn, also voiced by Mia Farrow. So, a brave unicorn and a magician fight an evil king who is obsessed with attempting to capture the world's unicorn. So we have Jeff Bridges, Mia Farrow, and Angela Lansbury.
for dinner food.
and Alan Arkin
A
and
little
Christopher
scared.
Lee. It's got a lot of big names in that.
Neither one prepared. Both.
And this was produced and directed by Arthur Rankin Jr. and Jules Bass.
Bass?
Which, if you know those names, it's because you've heard them from Rankin Bass from all those Christmas TV stop motion animated specials. I haven't seen this one for a while, so I read through the synopsis, and man, that was even tedious to get the synopsis. This is a tier 3.
I watched this one on a date as well. I don't know why I'm watching all these cartoons on dates.
This might explain the whole makeout problem.
What do you mean? Is there a problem?
Well, you said you're not making out a lot during, but maybe
No,
you're
look,
going to the kids'
this
movies.
This movie has a classic
You're like,
feel about
this
it.
unicorn's great,
Like,
right? Let's make out.
There's magic in here, but it is boring. So what would you rather do instead of watching The Last Unicorn?
So this is a
So you're saying you specifically choose boring movies so that girls will kiss you?
It's a tier 2. And so was the kissing.
nice.
By the way, this studio that made this movie would later be hired by Miyazaki, and the core members would form Studio Ghibli.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
It really does.
It's that surreal kind of feeling movie.
All right, next one is the Lego Movie.
Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team.
Where are my pants?
Where are my pants?
An ordinary Lego construction worker thought to be the prophesied special is recruited to join a quest to stop an evil tyrant from gluing the Lego universe into eternal stasis.
Starring the voices of Chris Pratt, Will Ferrell, Elizabeth Banks, Will Arnett, Nick Offerman, Allison Brie, Charlie Day, Liam Neeson, and Morgan Freeman.
Directed by Lord and Miller, who also did Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs and 21 Jump Street.
Yeah, these guys are clever.
And kind of Han Solo.
And it looks stop motion,
Kind of.
but it's not.
It's not.
It's not stop motion. It's computer animated, but they did animate it in a way that would be stop motion. Like they said, let's keep it kind of how stop motion would look, but animate it through a computer.
Can I ask you this? Would this movie be half of the experience without Lego Batman in it?
I say yes,
Really?
because a lot of my favorite memories don't even come from Lego Batman. He's funny,
He super hates you right now.
but he's kind of
He's what?
overplayed.
It's a Superman line in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought Batman may have been even a little overplayed in this movie.
Oh, see, I thought he was a great scene stealer, and then when he got his own movie, meh, you know.
I was going to ask you what you thought of that one.
Well, that will come in part
it.
2.
That'll come part 2.
All right.
This is a tier 1. I really enjoy this movie. I actually just saw it, the end of it, the other day, and I went, I want to own that. So I put it on my Amazon wish list. And I don't want to own many movies, but this is one that I went, yeah, this is highly entertaining to me. A lot of the jokes, like the physical gags, along with the verbal comedy, very well done. And it had a heart that I didn't expect.
Yeah, it's a tier 1. I don't really like Will Ferrell, but it's a tier 1.
All right, next movie is The Polar Express, 2004 with Dead-Eyed Tom.
Dead-Eyed Tom.
Is that his cowboy name?
Written, produced, and directed by Robert Zemeckis, who I like. I like Robert Zemeckis.
As a person, he's very good, but as a director of The Polar Express, he's a
A
terrible
young boy
human being.
played by Tom Hanks embarks on a magical adventure to the North Pole to meet Santa Claus, played by Tom Hanks, to ride on a train played by Tom Hanks.
blah, blah, blah. Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks. Dead-Eyes Tom Hanks.
You
What?
totally stole my joke.
I did?
I was going to go starring Tom Hanks, Tom Hanks, Tom Hanks, Tom Hanks, and Tom Hanks. Six different roles with Tom Hanks.
It's a great story based on a great Christmas book.
It's a great book.
Yes.
No, based on Zemeckis' theory that no one can get sick of Tom Hanks.
And it's a great movie to sleep to. Man, this can give you good naps.
Unless you
or
wake
make-
up and you see Tom Hanks' dead eyes.
Dead-Eyed Tom.
I see those when I close my eyes.
The real question is, can you make out to this movie?
I haven't tried, but I will.
Put this on the list.
On the list. Hey, I've got some. Hey,
You want to watch the Polar Express?
Hey, do you want to? No,
It's August. Why do I watch the Polar Express?
Do you want to come over? I have this list. I have a plethora of non-Disney animated boring movies.
Yeah, we got to have something to do during the movie, right?
That's a great idea. Wow, I'm putting that to the test. Yeah, it's this is a tier 3, and I feel bad because it is a good book with cool art. I think it was maybe made 5 years too soon. I
You think it would be
maybe
better now?
had they waited, because remember the same studio did A Christmas Carol with Jim Carrey,
Right.
And even the technology had progressed far enough because
That was-
Jim Carrey kind of played
it was
every
a
role
little
as well.
better, yeah.
It was cool. It was actually pretty cool looking, and I think they should have waited just a little bit.
And I agree. Tier
I mean,
3.
didn't anyone see it while it was in production? They're like, "Holy crap, this looks awful." You know,
Right.
I mean, how did you miss that?
They probably
Like,
thought this looks magical because it doesn't look like traditional
Magical?
animation.
Ah, it
I don't
looks
know,
so
but
weird.
I don't like it. I think everyone agrees it's kind of just got that uncanny valley creepiness.
uncanny is right. All right, next movie is The Prince of Egypt from 1998.
This one features the voice cast of Val Kilmer as Moses, Val Kilmer as God, Ray Fiennes, Michelle Pfeiffer, Sandra Bullock, Jeff Goldblum, Danny Glover, Patrick Stewart, Helen Mirren, Steve Martin, and Martin Short.
An Egyptian prince learns of his identity as a Hebrew and his destiny to become the chosen deliverer of his people.
Deliverer.
So good. Do you want me to keep singing with you? Is that what you want?
No.
Well, for this movie,
Tell me what
should.
you want.
This movie
What do I
feels
really,
worth it.
really want?
So tell me what you want.
What I really, really want?
I want to.
Huh?
I feel like that's wrong to do in the scope of Prince of Egypt, which really has great music. This one is probably the second best movie on the list that we've read tonight.
Songs written by Steven Schwartz and a score
Second
composed
best.
by Hans Zimmer.
Yes.
After what?
An American Tale.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is, the music really does make this movie great because it's a good movie and there's some
think
really
it's a great movie.
There's some
It
cool
is.
animation in it, but really the music is what stands out to me the most.
There can be miracles. Hey, do you want to be
If
Whitney or do you want to be
believe-
Mariah?
I want to be Mariah because she's still alive.
Jeez, come on!
I'm not the one making jokes
I
about
can't
Roger
believe.
Ebert.
I cannot believe how insensitive you are.
Too soon. I'll be
Man, this is beneath
You know, there's a lot
Joel.
of rumors going around that Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston had a big feud going on. Not true. They denied it.
Oh, okay.
They said it was great. They said they had a great time recording together and the two divas loved each other.
You're only hearing Mariah's side of the story.
No,
Exactly.
this is back then.
Exactly.
Anyways, Prince of Egypt is a great movie, great cast. I think everything about this movie is great. I mean, we already seen the 10 Commandments for however many decades, which is kind of like the, other than the Bible story, like the quintessential story of what you think when you think Moses, right? But this movie almost, maybe not surpassed, but equaled it.
Well, I think that, Ten Commandments is probably the pinnacle, and this is definitely a good sidekick to Ten Commandments.
Yes.
Tier 1.
Tier 1.
All right, next movie is.
Be careful, Jacob. You're playing with the big boys now.
I know. I feel like we need to hit the music a little harder on that with this musical.
I think I
episode.
spent more time singing Rock-A-Doodle than I did in Prince of
You
Egypt.
did. You definitely did.
You love it so much.
Well, I don't have the vocal range for Prince of Egypt because there's some impressive singing
It
going
really
on there.
is. Really is.
It won the Best Original Song at the 1999 Academy Awards. When You Believe.
I mean. So wait, is it a score?
Look at
It'd be a
yourself.
score, not a sound. Yeah.
Through heaven's eyes. a great song.
It is.
Good stuff.
All right, next one is The Secret Life of Pets.
You just watched this one the other day, didn't you, Joel?
I did. I just watched them the other day with my family, and they're
fun.
singing the song at the beginning. I can't even remember what it is, except for it's like, "Welcome to New York, welcome to New York. We are
Dun, dun,
cats and
dun,
dogs and fish and birds in New York." It's probably not what it is.
No, this one is like, you got a pet in me.
But oh yes,
You got a pet in me.
this is a ripoff of like Toy Story. What I say? I said Toy Story and Flushed Away and like Zootopia. Like it's probably not Zootopia because that was anthropomorphized animals. But this one is about. Okay, you can read the synopsis.
The quiet life of a wooden or a toy cowboy a terrier named Max is upended when his owner takes in Duke, a stray whom Max instantly dislikes. Voiced by Louis C.K. and Kevin Hart.
And Eric Stone Street is
Yes.
the other dog.
I'm so bored with this movie.
It's a boring movie. Although, and once again, I hate giving these facts, but this is my job. It is the highest grossing original animated film not produced by Disney or Pixar.
Ew.
Really? How did that
Gross.
happen?
Because it's the latest and ticket prices are higher.
Wait, more than Minions?
No, original. Like this, the original Minions is a spin-off. This is original.
Can you call this original? I mean, that's not really cool.
I mean, is it just good marketing? Is that the idea here?
I
Like,
don't
what did
know.
that-
It's animals.
They're animals.
It's a bland movie, but also it's a ripoff of Toy Story. Like it really is. Like you got Max, and then the new guy comes in, and they don't gel, and then they get lost together and have to find their way back, and then they bond over that.
My daughter really liked this movie, and I judged her for it.
Also,
What
she's
don't you
3.
judge your daughter for? I mean, she's the one that cracks the whip, right, Kent?
No. Although I do have to see these movies for her. Yeah, this is a tier 3. This movie is so unoriginal. There are maybe a few funny side gags, but Kevin Hart is like nails on a chalkboard.
Oh, he's such an annoying. He's the little bunny, and they think he's funny, so they play him up and let him just go full volume on the mic, and it's not good.
No.
I'm not looking forward to the sequel set to release on July 3rd, 2019. Tier 3.
Next movie is The Chipmunk Adventure, 1987. Go crazy.
Quanto le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta. Quanto le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta, le gusta. Or do you prefer Wole Bole?
Dancing too.
Wole Bole. Or would you also like Give me a clue? Tell me what I need to do to get lucky with you. Keep in mind, that's the Chipettes singing to snakes.
Family friendly.
That's the Chipettes singing, dressed as harems, singing to snakes
harems. Why you had to bring harems into this?
to save a baby penguin.
Look, how come they got more singing than Prince of Egypt? That's really the question.
Because we're the girls of rock and roll. So this movie, it says
Rock and roll.
in IMDb, it says the chipmunks compete with the chipettes in a round the world race. But what it's really about is drug smuggling.
It is.
This whole movie is about drug smuggling.
Diamond
chipmunks,
smuggling. Diamond
chipmunks
smuggling.
that are half the size of humans, but have great voices.
That's a horrifying chipmunk, I gotta just say.
Siskel and Ebert actually went off on this movie, and they said this movie basically teaches kids to lie to their parents and to smuggle drugs. I was like, wow, someone woke up on the wrong side of the bed.
right.
The wrong side of the...
Because I remember they had the girls had the pink balloon, the boys had the blue balloon. They were going around the world, and it was this huge adventure where they met a bunch of different cultures. It's like Around the World in 80 Days, if Around the World in 80 Days was a musical for kids.
And so you like it?
So really, they had stuff. So Jake, just to tell you, they had they were basically an evil mastermind gave them stuffed chipmunks that basically little avatars of themselves that they dropped off to say they were winning in the race. And these had drugs, or they picked them up and they had money in them.
I'm sorry. They really were... It was moving drugs?
Yes.
No,
That's what
it's
was
diamonds.
Or diamonds.
They had to replace the dolls with diamonds with dolls with money or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's a metaphor. But yeah, they tricked him into saying this is how we can tell we were going, but really they were tricking these kids to being mules for their stolen goods.
And guess what? It's a tier 1.
Totally a tier 1. The music alone, I was
It's
like,
great.
oh man, there were so many fun songs in there that I could just sing along like, oh, this is a lot of fun.
Man, Ebert's rolling over in his grave right now.
My God.
But the black
now I'm offended.
You guys remember the Black Cauldron, right?
Yes.
Because of the Black Cauldron's failure, Disney had to lay off a number of animators, and a lot of them ended up working on this movie. So that's why the animation is a little bit higher
It's
quality.
good, actually.
Yeah. I remember that. Didn't the dog Sophie is getting her nails painted in the pool?
Yeah.
I always got a kick out of that. Because then she gets pushed over and he flicks water on. Anyway.
And then
okay.
he really likes splashing in movies.
He does.
You do.
You
do.
like splashing.
And I like
Splash
speaking of
zones.
myself in
Joel
third
Hilton.
person. What was
He
the
does.
splashing one?
The Cloudy with the Chance of Meatballs.
Oh, yeah, that
He
was
thought
funny.
it was hilarious.
Hey, water animation. Hilarious.
All right, next movie. We're back. A dinosaur story. I guess the dinosaurs are back.
Let me find the end of my list real quick.
Please read the synopsis, Kent. I really want you to read the entire one that was on IMDb.
4 fun-loving dinosaurs take a trip to New York City.
Oh, no.
Courtesy of Captain New Eyes, played by Walter Cronkite. The time-traveling alien is intent on bringing some joy to the lives of children of the Big Apple. These are not connected sentences in any way, shape, or form. After eating a potion to boost their smarts and cuddliness, Tyrannosaurus Rex, played by John Goodman, Triceratops Woog, Pterodactyl Elsa, that's easy to read, and Hadrosaur Dweeb hit the town, but trouble soon arrives when New Eye's evil brother hatches a devious plot.
So bad.
Isn't his name Strange Eyes or Weird? It's Weird Eyes.
Captain New Eyes.
Yeah, there's New Eyes.
Professor Screw Eyes.
Screw Eyes. This is the weirdest thing because it's a Wes Anderson movie, but it's a Wes Anderson cartoon about dinosaurs who have brains.
A Wes Anderson movie? Where do you even come up with that?
Because this is what happens at the beginning. This kid runs into a talking Tyrannosaurus Rex, and then Tyrannosaurus Rex tells a story about when he lived back then, and there's a time-traveling dude who gave him some cereal.
Brain grain cereal.
Brain grain.
Whoa, you're
to
hurting
make
my
him
head.
smart. And then
It hurts. It all hurts.
It hurts so bad. And really, the devious plan is to kidnap the dinosaurs and let them live in a zoo. And that's the movie. This is the worst.
It's not good. In fact, John Malkovich hates it.
John Malkovich hates it.
Here's the deal. So, actor John Malkovich was originally set to voice the role of Professor Screw Eyes, but dropped out because of disagreements with the animator's vision of the film. Upon the movie's
What
release, Malkovich was a vocal critic of the project, arguing that the scope of the script was not fully realized and that the final product was, quote, subpar to say the least. To this day, Malkovich generally refuses to talk about the film.
We're back at dinosaur stories.
And he's
gosh.
referenced it in interviews. Like, I used to work on this dinosaur movie and it was completely, ruined by the studio and they had a vision and they didn't complete it. Like, he still will reference it, but
I think this is actually the plot of Being John Malkovich is Dr. Weird Eyes and Strange Eyes and Screwy Eyes.
But this had this is a Universal Pictures movie. It stars John Goodman, Jay Leno, Walter Cronkite, Julia Child, and Martin Short. Steven Spielberg was even involved with this. In fact, I would say, if I may, this is definitely the lesser
involved in
of Steven Spielberg's dinosaur movies that released in 1993.
Oh, really?
It was the lesser one, yeah.
Probably. Maybe.
Tier 3.
Hard to say.
This is bad.
Easy tier 3.
Tier 3.
High 5.
That plot was super weird.
It's so bizarre and it's overly complicated.
Yeah.
It hurt. It all hurt. All right. Are you guys ready?
Mm-hmm. I'm always ready.
We are down to the last movie in our entry.
I got this feeling about it,
Entry,
Jacob.
I don't know what I'm saying.
Inside my bones.
You got this feeling?
It comes electric.
Is it
When you're
a,
about to read off.
a JT feeling?
All through the city, all through my home.
The last movie, fellas,
Wait, what's this?
is
I got some sunshine in my pocket. Got that new soul in my feet.
I'm happy. I'm feeling glad I got
you trying to do Pharrell?
sunshine. No, that's in the movie.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, gall. Oh,
Yeah.
that part.
Yeah.
This is
I'm
Trolls, everybody.
happy.
If you don't know, it's
Feeling.
Trolls.
I was pointing out the good, and then you reminded me of one of my worst hated parts in the movie when I'm like, don't use Clint Eastwood by the Gorillaz
Yeah.
for this part of the movie. Oh, you were so terrible. Why are you using this song right now?
Trolls. Which, once again, my daughters love.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about this one a lot.
I've talked about it a lot.
Yeah,
Wait,
you're like,
I have.
I love the poofy hair. And
Read the synopsis.
Anna
Kent.
Kendrick's so funny. Love, love, love.
Stop it. After their cave is destroyed, a caveman... Wait, what? Hold on.
No, want to read it?
After their cave is destroyed?
I have the
yeah.
crude
No, that's right.
story.
Yeah, it's like, that doesn't make any sense.
I was reading the
there's
crude
like a
plot.
tree
Okay,
and
here we
escape.
go.
and-
After the Bergens invade Troll Village, Poppy, the happiest troll ever born, and the curmudgeonly branch set off on a journey to rescue their friends. I think this movie is trolling parents because
Waiting for that joke.
it features a bunch of bright colors and fast-paced musical numbers
And no treasure.
and no real story, and so it's for kids. It's totally for kids, and then the kids make the adults watch, and the adults hate themselves because they watch it. This is merely one cliche after another to drag the plot to the next karaoke number.
I think you had that prepped.
Annoying. This is annoying.
It's like facepalm annoying. It's so bad.
Which, by the way, the only redeeming quality of this is the sequel. It's coming out April 10th, 2020, and it's called Trolls 2.
Huh?
Why is that redeeming?
Because Troll 2. Remember the movie?
Hopefully they don't have any trolls in Trolls 2.
I hope not. I hope it's all goblins. Because Troll 2 is a legitimately funny movie and terrible. This is a terrible movie that's not funny. This is a tier 3.
It's a tier 3.
Tier 3?
It's a bad
We're ending on a tier
movie.
3?
Yeah, it's ending on tier 3.
We're ending on the hatred that goes towards Anna Kendrick, Justin Timberlake, Zooey Deschanel, Russell Brand, James Corden, and Gwen Stefani.
Honestly, Joel, I thought you were going to like this one.
You should have seen our...
It's, you
Hey,
like the music?
Joel.
I like Can't Stop the Feeling. I do like that song.
I see your true colors. This is just a karaoke movie.
Yeah.
All the way. And most of these... most.
I was hoping you
A
go
lot
farther
of
with
these
that
modern
song.
CG ones... What's that?
I was hoping you go farther with the song. I was going to hold hands with you and everything.
Oh, I'll do it.
No, it's too late now. The moment has passed.
Let's talk about Claudio with a Chance of Cheese Balls again.
Nice joke. Gosh, so lame.
Yeah, and you know, I don't want to end on a tier 3, but Jacob's going alphabetical, so might as well.
Actually, that was the exception, not the alphabetical.
What?
We could have ended with "We're Back," a dinosaur story.
Which John Malkovich would have been really upset with.
He probably would have.
Yeah.
Wow. So there you go. There's our first
There it
round
was.
of non-Disney animated.
And that was 35 films, if you
cranked
can
through 'em.
call them films. And
Some are definitely better than others. And
Yeah.
I think we hit a lot of the good ones. We know we missed some. We know there's some out there that you are saying, you didn't talk about this one, you didn't talk about that one. We have a whole list ready for part 2. So
Yeah,
but you can still let us know what we missed, because then we can always add it.
And
if
I
you-
could always use more background noise for
And-
certain film experiences, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, give
Hey.
boring makeout films.
yeah, for dinner food. No,
Meat dogs.
Ken said his favorite too. Joel, what are your top 2?
On this list that we have here,
Yeah, yes, this list.
because I mean, Claudio the Chance Meatballs is definitely
say
going to be
that.
my one, and
That's
then
right.
maybe Lego Movie is my number 2 on here.
Claudia
Yeah.
and Lego, and Kent was American Tail and
Prince of Egypt.
Prince of Egypt.
Both good.
choice.
I think those are all good movies, and,
then-
for the most part, I don't think we fought too much. So,
No, you guys agreed a lot.
but there you go. If you want to find me, you can find me at 76Joel on Twitter, or you can find me at QuickWits. They perform every Saturday night at the Midville Performing Arts Center. For more details, go to qwcomedy.com or go to the QuickWits Facebook page.
Or you could go and Joel won't be there.
It's happened sometimes. Sorry, Terry.
Wow, that was personal.
Yeah.
If you want to find me on Twitter and Instagram, go to @Kenny3DD. If you want to read my movie reviews, it's ShowtimeShowdown.com.
Find me on Twitter if you feel so inclined at Jacob A. Rogers. Also find Baconsale on Twitter at Baconsale, which is where you should go. Go open up a Twitter account just to participate there.
Yeah, we've even started doing Facebook Live videos, so you can catch us there and see our faces with our voices coming out of them.
It's a bizarre experience, kind of trippy,
Yeah.
kind of horrifying.
I like my face, so I don't know what's your problem.
Well, and in the meantime, come with me if you want to not die. Coming to you live with Nacho Breath.
¿Por qué no los dos?
Wimp.
Wimp.
Real Wheaton is a wimp.
You're such a wimp, Joel.
How dare you?
I wish you wouldn't say that, Kent. Let's throw some fisticuffs, you wimp. Disappointed you again.
No, never. Never disappoint me, Kent. Because I am your father.
Basically, the happening happens in the B movie.
I'm not afraid of crime.
You are afraid of crying.
No, I'm not. I'm telling Emma Stone.
This movie's
better because the girl's sitting next to me.
Was she slaughtered for dinner food?
Come on.
Uncle Kent says sorry, everybody.
But this might explain the whole makeout problem.
It's a tier 2. And so is the kissing.
I can't believe how insensitive you are.
Too soon.
Man, this can give you good naps.
Unless you
Or
wake
make-
up and you see Tom Hanks' dead eyes.
Nice joke. Gosh, so lame.
John Malkovich hates it. Them taters.
Them queso taters.
Asian taters.
Somewhere out there, someone saying a prayer.
Why are we any better than you?
And when the night wind starts to sing a lonesome lullaby, it helps to think we might be wishing on the same bright.
Sleeping under the same bright
Sleeping,
sky.
that's it. Oh, 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 somewhere out there. Love can see us Love can see us through. We'll be together somewhere out where dreams come true. Never gonna get it, 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 never get it. That's the end of our show.
Good night, everybody.